So, today we're going to get down to the basics of what you need to do with regard to exercise and health for fertility. We talk about so many things on this podcast that have to do with the lab and have to do with reproductive medicine. Today, we want to talk about the basics because it's so important to know what to do with your health. There's a lot of controversy out there about what to eat, what not to eat, how much to exercise, how much not to exercise. Today, we're going to clear it up and we have all the answers for you, so stay tuned. Welcome to Building Your Family. This is a podcast about fertility treatment, donor conception, surrogacy, and all the ways the modern family is built. I'm your host. I'm Lisa Schumann. I'm a therapist, an author, a researcher, and I am so happy to have you here to introduce you to Dr. Camille Hammond. Dr. Hammond is a physician, but she also does so many things. I met her at the annual conference for the American Society for Reproductive Medicine. She runs a social media summit there, but she does so many other things. So just to tell you a little bit about her, she attended medical school at the University of Maryland and did her residency in preventative medicine at Johns Hopkins. On social media, you can find her talking about PCOS, fertility treatment in general, male factor infertility, and all sorts of things. But she also runs a group called the CADE Foundation, which you'll hear a little bit about in a moment, but it's incredible. She's been running this program for decades, which provides education and grants to people going through fertility treatment. She also finds time to do yoga, enjoy time with her children, and so many other things. And she is an advocate for helping people understand the truth. And today we're going to talk about just that, the truth about exercise and what to eat, how to take care of yourself, and how to maximize your opportunity for success when you're going through fertility treatment. So welcome, Dr. Hammond. So nice to have you here. So good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for inviting me and including me. And I'm honored to be here and happy to be able to support this community that I'm a member of. I'm a part of the families, the 1 in 6 that struggle to conceive. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. So can you tell us a little bit before we dive into the things that we need to know about all sorts of issues in exercise, nutrition, and reproductive health? Can you tell us a little bit about CADE? Because I think our guests will be really excited to know. We had Andrea Leone on some time ago, and she talked a lot about CADE in that episode, but a lot of our viewers may have not seen that episode, so maybe you can fill us in.
CADE is a nonprofit that was started in 2005 by my husband and myself. So I'm a co-founder to support families with infertility. We struggled with infertility and had lots of fertility treatments, lots of help. And even after all of that, we're unable to conceive and we're counseled to consider either a gestational carrier or which I guess is commonly referred to as a surrogate, or to adopt, because even though I was young and healthy, we were not getting pregnant. And at that point, my mom and dad asked if my mom could carry a baby for us because she had carried many pregnancies successfully. I have 2 siblings, although she had a number of miscarriages as well. But my mom was 54 and postmenopausal at that time. And
Wow.
so we thanked her, thanked them, and politely declined, but they were persistent. And ultimately, we decided to at least have her talk to the doctors and see what they said. And though she was postmenopausal, so she had already gone through the change of life, woman's change of life, she was healthy, and they said, we don't think it'll kill her, but we can't guarantee much, which is not very assuring. But she and my dad were very adamant about wanting to move forward. And after a lot of prayer and reflection and conversation, we decided to move forward, and she was able to conceive and deliver my triplets at 55 years old.
Amazing.
And
Oh
isn't
my
it?
gosh.
So we were so grateful and thought we needed to give back to this community that had allowed us to become parents in an amazing way. But just the fact that we were able to become parents in the first place, we thought we need to give back. And our goal really was to help one family, but we knew that cost was a barrier that prevented many people from being able to have fertility treatment or, frankly, to adopt. So we set out with a goal to raise $10,000 from our asking our friends and family members and people in our little small community to donate so that we could give away $10,000 to one family. And then our goal was to just be able to say, okay, we've paid it forward. And even in that first year, we were able to support three families.
Oh,
And
nice.
that really just started a transition and all my entire family where ultimately I ended up leaving my work as a physician, as a clinician, and now I run Cade Foundation full time. And we've been able to support 211 families with up to $10,000 each for fertility
Wow.
treatment or adoption. And
Incredible.
so it's a real privilege to be able to work in this community that I have benefited so much from. And now Cade not only gives out money for fertility treatment and adoption, we're very involved in education. So
Mm-hmm.
programs like the one that we're doing today, where either myself or other people connected with the foundation can talk about issues that are of concern and importance to families with infertility and to provide unbiased evidence-based, reliable information to equip people so that they can make informed decisions. You and I talked a little bit offline before this program started about some of the predatory practices.
Yes.
That's a mouthful, but
Yes. Well, people take advantage of people who are vulnerable, right?
exactly. Vulnerable, desperate. Our goal really is to combat misinformation because that sometimes leads to people having made decisions that they regret because they just did not get good, accurate information. So we want to get out the good information and then also
Right.
advocate for all families to have the option to grow despite there may be having a diagnosis of infertility. We don't feel like infertility should disqualify you from becoming a parent.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So, on that note, you are absolutely singing from the same hymn sheet as I am, because I agree 1000% that we really need to get good information. I'm so grateful that you're out there doing that. And on that note, I think that it would be so helpful for our viewers and our listeners on all the other platforms that are audio to hear a little bit about things that they can do, because of course we all feel so helpless when we're going through fertility treatment. And one of the things people worry about is nutrition and exercise. And so we talked a little bit about that. What are some of the myths that you think are out there with regard to diet and exercise?
So I want to just highlight the fact that we're talking about diet and exercise. I'm not sure when this is going to be published, but it is the beginning of January. So often people for January 1st or for that first Monday in January, they say, I'm going to fill in the blanks. And
Right.
when they're looking at reproductive health, it's no different than when people are just looking at just general wellness. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start to exercise. I'm going to start to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And we just passed National Quitters Day, which is I think the second Friday in January, which is the day that a lot of people end up giving up on those New Year's commitments.
Yeah. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
those goals. But we want to definitely encourage people to make good informed decisions. So most people who are already in this reproductive health world have at least heard that very high body weight, very high BMI can have a negative effect on fertility. So you're less likely to be able to conceive as a woman if your BMI is very high compared to someone who has a BMI, a body weight that isn't within the normal range.
Mm-hmm.
So both men and women. So there are a number of studies which hopefully you'll be able to link to after this, after
Sure.
our episode ends, so that people can read the information for themselves. And then if you have questions, take the study to your doctor so your doctor can explain what it's saying. But we're not just looking at kind of the state of being a normal body weight. We're looking at exercise and also diet.
Mm-hmm.
Do they impact your fertility? Some people may think, okay, well, I've been sedentary, so I'm going to now start running marathons, and that's going to help. And what the data have suggested for both men and women is exercise can be helpful to a point. So people who exercise moderately multiple times a week do have some benefits for both men and women. But when you go beyond moderate and when you go to extreme exercising, I'm going to run marathons. I'm going to start to work out at what may be considered an elite level. That actually has a negative impact on your fertility, on many of the fertility markers. And one thing for people who are committed runners, for instance, I know I live in a household with committed athletes. You know, my kids and my husband work out. And I think it would be hard for my husband, for instance, to go from working out at the level that he is right now to what may be considered moderate. But the recommendation is that if you are committed to doing this very high level of workout and athleticism, that you eat more so that the calorie deficit is not very high. So that basically, if you're working out more and you're burning more calories than normal, then you eat more to make it so that you have that energy for family building, for
Yes.
creating sperm, healthy sperm, for
Yes.
all of the things that happen with female reproductive health, even though we know that eggs are created and all the eggs you're ever going to have are there when a woman is born. They've been able to look and follow large groups of women over time and look at those that end up having disruptions in the normal women's kind of reproductive cycle, and people that have really, really high extreme exercise routines tend to have less desirable outcomes than those who have more moderate. So that's something that's important to look at.
So, being overweight or underweight are both things that we don't want.
It's not just the weight. So the weight is important, but the physical activity and the diet are also important. So even if you are normal weight, you're not morbidly obese and you're not underweight, but you're sedentary, your fertility outcomes for men and women are less desirable than for people who, for instance, walk. Go
Mhm.
outside and walk for 30 minutes a couple times a week, 3, 4
Mhm.
times a week. Okay. The same is true for people who do that same walking for 30 minutes to an hour, 3, 4 times a week. Their fertility outcomes are better than those who go out and run marathons.
Mm.
So if you're running 5 to
Mm.
10 miles a day to get ready for that big 26 miler that you're planning on running, those outcomes are less desirable than those who have the moderate level of exercise. And that's important.
Mm. Yeah, very important.
We also talk a little bit about lifestyle. So, in addition to how you move your body, that's what we talk about when we're talking about exercise. And it's not just running, you might be doing elite level biking.
Mhm.
You might be doing swimming where you're swimming miles and miles, a day. I mean, this is all different forms of physical, just
Extreme
working your body, moving your
exercise.
body. But the things that you expose yourself to. So there's no amount of tobacco that's good.
And vaping too, right?
Vaping, whether you're vaping tobacco or you're vaping THC or, regardless to what you are putting into your body, you should not do it if you're trying to conceive. Excessive amounts of alcohol. Alcohol has a negative impact on your reproductive health. So
Mhm.
during that season, if your goal really is to give yourself the best chance, both men and women, of being able to conceive, just putting down all those other things is what you need to do. When we talk about diets, there are a lot of diets out there. I think a diet that has been recommended, that has been shown to actually improve outcomes, is Mediterranean diet, which is a little bit higher with the healthy fats, no fried foods, nuts, salmon, drinking lots of water, putting down the sugar, the high sugar
Mhm.
beverages. I mean, these are things that we talk about that I think most people accept as just a healthy diet. You don't have to do anything extreme,
Mhm.
but what you do have to do is put down some of those things that we already know are not good for us if you want
Mhm.
to give yourself the best chance of being able to conceive.
Imagine your beautiful future. You're snuggling with your child. You feel so connected to them. Your friends and family are so happy, and you have everything that you've ever wanted. I want this for you too, but I want more than that. I want you to feel secure knowing that you've made the best decisions, not just short term, but long term for your future family. Wherever you are on your journey, whether you're choosing a donor, choosing a clinic, learning how to talk to your donor conceived child about their origins, all of these decisions will have wider implications for your future. And I want you to have the right resources so you can feel empowered and confident at this very important time in your life. That's why I'm so excited to introduce you to Building Your Family. It's the only expert-guided platform designed for parents and parents-to-be using reproductive medicine. We provide unique strategies that you won't find anywhere else to make your path to parenthood smoother and more informed. And that's why our approach is about offering practical and actionable steps that you can use right now. Whether you're just starting out or already deep into your process, Building Your Family is here to guide you with expert advice, specialized education, stress reduction strategies, and a community to support you every step of the way. We can't wait to see you inside. So people really should understand they're taking care of their health. And if they take care of their health in a good, moderate way,
Yes.
they're likely also going to help their fertility. But I guess on the other side of this, what sorts of things do you find that are out there? Because I see, and I suspect you do too, things that people feel like they can do beyond that to enhance their fertility, like if you eat 6 pineapples, if you do certain yoga poses, if you take the supplement, if you get into a Zen mood, all of a sudden you're just going to forget about your stress and get pregnant. So, how can we share with people what the truth is about those things?
Yeah. So often those types of recommendations are being given out at the same time something is being sold by the person who is sharing. Eat all these pineapples, and I have them. You can buy them for me for
Mhm.
this low, low price of $100.
Yes, it's true.
Take this pill, and I'm the only one that knows about it, and your doctor is hoarding it. They don't want you to get the truth. When you're getting this information off social media, you really need to be very careful. There are a lot of people that understand that infertility is heartbreaking and it is associated with higher levels of anxiety, depression, and they are taking advantage of families who are in a desperate position.
Mhm.
And they're selling them verbally. They used to call it snake oil. You
Yes.
pay this money for this thing. This thing really doesn't do anything other than drain
Mhm.
your pockets. So pineapple tastes great, and I'm not saying that there are not some benefits. I mean, fruit is good for you.
Mhm.
I think you should eat fruit, but eating 6 pineapples is not going to get you pregnant. And taking a hot bath and decreasing your stress level is not going to get you pregnant
Right.
because stress, that's not a cause of infertility.
Yes.
It's a result of infertility. That's not to say
100%.
that you shouldn't manage your stress or that taking yoga is not a way of managing stress, but there's not a yoga pose that's going to overcome polycystic ovary syndrome
Right.
or that's going to straighten up sperm and increase the volume of semen. That there's not a yoga pose or a fruit that's going to fix that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so true. And it's so hard, I think, because as you know, and I was a fertility patient once myself too, and we know what it's like to feel so stressed, right? And
Mhm.
people forget that there are people who get raped and get pregnant. There are people who got
Absolutely.
pregnant during the Holocaust. There are many circumstances where people were stressed and got pregnant.
That's right.
And yet somehow it's so hard for people to understand that it's our eggs will get older. Our sperm is going to have problems as we get older too, to some
Absolutely.
degree. And that if they try all of these other methods, they may be losing precious time
That's correct.
with their fertility. So what can we say to people about that, Dr. Hammond? How can we help people understand how to start?
So, first and foremost, you're not alone. That's something to know, even though you feel alone. Infertility is very common. 1 in 6 people. That means if you're seated at
Yes.
the average dining room table, at least one person sitting at that table is struggling. But unlike some diseases where people may lose their hair or their face takes on a different appearance, maybe their cheeks are a little bit, you know, redder, or there are other telltale signs that say this might be happening with that person. With infertility, we all look the same. And so you may
Yes, true.
assume I'm alone, even though you're not. You are walking and interacting with people every single day. Number two, there are experts who have done lots and lots of training to provide support. Now, that is not to say that with all of the knowledge of available on social media that everybody is giving you bad information. But that is to say, instead of just going to social media and relying on that as your primary source, make an appointment with someone who
Mhm.
actually treats this and works with this routinely. Some people have a mistrust of the medical field for reasons, some good reasons, but there are a lot of excellent healthcare providers who would be happy to help you understand what's going on and understand a treatment that is appropriate based on the cause of your infertility. Now, that's also not to say that fertility treatment always ends with a pregnancy, because for many people, maybe they don't have enough money to keep going with fertility treatment, or their insurance
Mhm.
runs out, or even if they do, they just never get pregnant. I think that it's important to tap all of the resources available in this community. So, podcasts like this one, I think, are important to letting you
Thank
know
you.
the resources and the information that's out there. But you may need to add some additional types of healthcare providers to your village. So it may be, in addition to a gynecologist or a urologist or someone who has expertise in treating reproductive health for male and female factor infertility, you add a dietitian, someone who actually has gone to school and understands about the types of foods that are going to be helpful, the types of diets, and who can help you be accountable. Maybe you have a hard time with that. So having a dietitian who you can meet with regularly would be helpful for you. I think everyone should have a mental health provider. Talking with a therapist,
Mhm.
even if you have a group, it may be one on one or maybe one to many. You have a group that you meet with, but just having someone or a community where you can share and you can also support, because sometimes I know I feel better even when I'm feeling badly when I'm able to support other people. I'm not so focused on my own
Mhm.
issues and challenges. So,
Yes.
definitely get connected with a place or with a community where you can get mental health support, you can get nutrition support, and I would say even with the physical fitness, there are lots of fitness communities that you can join where people are going through the same reproductive health, where you can get supported, whether it's with a trainer or whether it's just as part of the community. I think that if you look for groupings of people or for support for where you are, you're going to find it, because it's here.
Yes, it is. And Dr. Hammond, what about that? I mean, I think that people sometimes look for the wrong support. They might say, well, my friend got pregnant at 50 with no problem. And my friend was, obese and she has 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I know somebody else who smokes and drinks and whatever, and they got pregnant. So why can't it be me?
Sometimes life doesn't feel fair. Okay.
Yes.
And you can do what your friend did, hoping that you're going to get what your friend got, but it could be the time that you spend doing what your friend did is taking away
Yes.
from the time that you need to get the care that's going to make a difference for you. So many clinics don't see people over a certain age, regardless to whether you're having IVF, if you're planning to use donor gametes. There
Mm-hmm.
are age cutoffs, just like
Mm-hmm.
there are BMI, body weight cutoffs. And if you spend 6 months trying what your friend did and you continue doing all those smoking and drinking and eating fried foods and eating, consuming this diet that is very high in the negative fats and low in the good fats, you may get what your friend got. But if you don't, you might have pushed yourself beyond the point where you're eligible for care. And if the goal is to go home, and have a child, then I think that you need to do whatever you can to put yourself in the best position to be able to conceive. And I'll say, even with adoption has cutoffs as well. Adoption has certain qualifications in order for you to be eligible to adopt, as well. And so I think it's important, regardless to what your family building plan involves, you want to put yourself in the best position to be able to successfully complete that.
And I think some of these people might also say, which I think you see online, well, this person has 2 million followers. And so they're practicing as, I don't know, they've gone through it, the fertility treatment themselves, and all their followers say, here's this, yoga pose you can do, or here's this thing that you can eat. And if I just do that thing, look at all their millions of followers, maybe that'll work for me too.
Social media is fake. Social media is fake. Let me say that one last time.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is fake. You get the best version of people. A lot of times information may be omitted. It may be
Mm-hmm.
modified so that what you're seeing is the polished, kind of edited version of what people have experienced, what people are doing. I remember when I was going through fertility treatment, there were a lot of celebrities who were saying things like, "Oh, I just had acupuncture and I ended up with twins." And these were women who were older. And in the back of my mind, I thought, no, no, you're having donor egg. You're having
Yes.
donor egg.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And you're not even admitting that you needed fertility treatment, because
Yes.
culturally, people weren't talking about fertility treatment at that time. And
Right.
acupuncture was more acceptable, I think, for our culture to hear. And so people were just lying.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you listen to some of these people and you got acupuncture, sure, you might have conceived, but you might have actually wasted valuable time that you could have used to get the care that would have given you a shot at doing that. So just remember, social media is not real. It is highly edited. And just because someone says it online doesn't mean that it's true. I think it's a better use of your time and energy to go and meet with experts who have been trained, who are who have taken board exams to ensure that the level of knowledge that they have on this specific area is at a high level where they're giving you accurate information, who will do tests to figure out what's going on with your body, as opposed to you're looking at what happened with this person. And maybe you have a completely different cause of infertility than this person who you're looking at online. And one last thing, remember, followers can be bought. So just
Yeah.
because someone has 2 million followers, and this is something we talked about at the social media summit,
Mhm.
those might not be real followers.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Even comments, those could be being
Fake.
added through bots. I'm not the expert on that, but I know that I have spoken with experts, and I do host social media summits and bring in experts to talk about that. You have to be very careful about what you really give your time and attention to on social media, because it may be inaccurate, and the goal may be literally just to get you to spend money, get you to spend time, because people are able to monetize both through you putting your credit card in, as well as you staying on a certain site for longer.
Hmm.
There are lots of reasons why people post different information on social media, and it may not just be, I want to educate this person, I want them to do better.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's very difficult because this is a place where we're vulnerable, right? If we were going to have heart surgery, we would never pick somebody
No,
who's a influencer to get advice from, right? We would look for someone who's licensed, somebody who's had many, many surgeries of that type, right?
that's
Somebody
right.
who's all of those things. We wouldn't just say, oh, this one person has only experience in their personal life and is now advising a million other people. We would never accept that from a heart surgeon. And yet we accept that with our fertility for some reason, which I don't know.
And some people may be accepting that from a heart surgeon, but I'm here to tell you right here today, you've heard it from my mouth. Social media is fake.
Yes.
And so you need to find some people in your community who actually have done training and have experienced, who can give you good, reliable information that you can then use to make informed decisions. And if you are in a community where you don't have any experts, social media is a great place to identify experts. Now, that's, I think, a good
Yes.
way to use social media, asking around who has worked with this doctor? What do you think about that person? To get feedback on healthcare providers and experts. So, that to me is a great use of the tool. And
Yes.
entertainment. I'm not saying social media is all bad, but I'm
Hmm.
saying, just like you said, you need to be careful who you listen to, and choose your experts and choose the people you allow to pour into your life, who you actually listen to, and then follow their advice. Choose wisely.
Yes. And as you're saying, your reproductive years are really limited, and we
Yeah.
need to be really thoughtful about how we use them, right? And as you said, people need to really take care of their health and their bodies in a way that's moderate. And I would assume also, Dr. Hammond, this continues through pregnancy, right? That the best pregnancy is, moderate exercise and moderate eating habits.
Absolutely. And the things that I've talked about that are good for fertility actually have been shown to have better pregnancy outcomes. Even the wellness of the male partner impacts the pregnancy. And you would say,
Hmm.
how is that? But
Yeah, how is that?
yeah, well, I don't know how it is, but I know that association doesn't imply causation. Maybe it's that people who have healthy partners are more likely to adapt and maintain healthy lifestyles. But I think, because we know there is an association with the pregnancy experience and the male partner's wellness, fitness.
Wow.
It's a healthy lifestyle. And I think when you can do something that you know is associated with good outcomes, do that.
Right. 100%.
You're not harmed by it. We want to avoid things that do harm.
Right.
And a healthy diet, a healthy, moderate, healthy physical fitness with moderate physical activity, they're associated with good things, better mental health outcomes that's been
Mhm.
shown to decrease
Yes.
anxiety and depression, both in infertility and in pregnancy, during
Mhm.
pregnancy.
Mhm.
So, all of these things I think are important. And I just encourage you to know that it gets better. We recognize that infertility is hard, it hurts. It may be a good idea as you are making some of these health changes to turn off social media and to
Mm.
look for other types of support, because even though you may say, well, it's entertaining, there is a lot of harmful messaging. And just to protect yourself, it may be good for a season to turn it off or to limit your exposure.
That's wonderful advice. And I think that's a great place for us to wind down. But before we end, where can people reach you, Dr. Hammond?
So you can reach me and get information about the Cade Foundation at cadefoundation.org. And I'll do a shameless plug. We do have a family building grant where we give away up to $10,000 in fertility treatments or in adoption support. And you can learn about that at cadefoundation.org. And applications are online. This application cycle is going to wrap up on February 1st. So if you apply before February 1st, you would be considered for the spring. And we have another cycle that opens immediately after that. And that is July 1st. That wraps on July 1st. And so you would be considered for the fall cohort if you apply by that point.
Great to know. Great to know. So everyone out there, if you need support, please apply to the Cade Foundation and please take a look at Dr. Hammond and her website and her information and the social media information, because there's a lot of great information and support out there for you. So you really need to access what's best for you. I know it's hard. It's hard to give up the smoking, the vaping, the not exercising, but do what you can. You have Dr. Hammond's support. You have my support. You have all of us behind you rooting for you. So thank you so much for coming today. And please subscribe, because that's how we keep going. It's so important for us. And take a look at our community. Our community is a wonderful place to get support and education. All the information is in the notes, and I hope to see you next week.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and don't give up. You're not alone.
Not alone. Hi, it's Lisa Schumann. I hope that you enjoyed that video and I hope it helped you. And if it did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, because that's how we keep going. It's really important to us. And if you liked it, you might like this one.